Card, and today I have the first deck profile from my channel, I believe. So today I'm going to be deck profiling my Cardfight Vanguard Shadow Paladin Witches deck for you guys. I had a request from someone to profile my version of the deck, and keep in mind this version is with just what I had on hand before the initial release of the Witches, as well as what I was able to obtain from my boxes and packs that I opened. So yeah, so it's not the most best competitive or whatever, but it did relatively well around my locals. Of course, we only had a few people turn out, maybe anywhere from 5 to 10, but it did relatively well in that, especially most of the players were pretty skilled and used competitive decks in that format. But yeah, not too sure how the Witches will do in this format with Stride and everything, but hopefully I can test that out. But at my locals currently there's an issue going on with uh, there not being a judge, so yeah, eventually hopefully I can test out this deck again. Definitely was a fun deck. Focuses on retiring your opponent's rear guards and replacing them with grade zeros, and then of course weakening your opponent's vanguard to the point where you can hit them with weak rear guards and force out large guards, or just make them take the damage. So yeah, so let's go ahead and get started with the profile. I've been rambling on for like at least a minute. So alright, so for our starter, we are running of course the Creeping Dark Goat. Some people do like to use the Witch starter, but I personally go with the Dark Goat, as you'll see why with my the rest of the deck. So of course it is just your standard Forerunner, which is your grade 3 searcher. So Counterblast 1, put in the soul, and search top 5. So that is our starter. I guess we'll go ahead and go on to triggers. So of course first off you run your, or I'm just going to do it like this. So you run your 4 heal, which is of course the Witch of Black Cat's Milkra. At the moment, with what the deck currently is, it doesn't really matter which triggers you use as long as they're Shadow Paladin, but there are a few units that hopefully will be coming out soon, which are special counterblasts. So yeah, so 4 heals, that beautiful heal right there. Next we run 4 crits of Black Crow Witch Elaine, I believe. Let me focus. Black Crow Witch Ein, so the crit trigger for witches. Next we run also 4 of the draw trigger, Lizard Witch Ein. I guess they're both Ein. Okay, I didn't notice that before. And then for last trigger, we run 4 stands, Witch of Goat's Med, which is basically the only trigger in the deck which has the ability auto when it's placed on rearguard. If your Vanguard has Witch in its card name, and the number of grade 0 rear guards your opponent has is 2 or more, soul charge 1, and choose a card from your damage zone and turn it face up. So this deck is pretty counterblast heavy for your grade 3 lineup, so it definitely comes into play. And especially since you're weakening your opponent's Vanguard to such low numbers, stand triggers can prove to be very deadly and useful in Witches, so Rainbow lineup works very well for the deck. On to my grade 1s. So I like to run a total of 4 copies of Witch of Nostrum Arenrod. Rest it and choose a card from your hand and discard it and draw another one, so it helps you filter out your hand and set up for Legion. So yeah, so definitely awesome. 7k base, very useful as well. So yeah, so I'll have to run 4 of her to filter out cards and deck thin. Really helps the deck set up. Next we run 4 copies of Witch of Precious Stones Dana. So her ability is when she's placed on rearguard, you soul charge, or no, you soul blast 1, and as long as you have a Vanguard Witch in its card name, your opponent, you choose one of your opponent's rearguards. Your opponent chooses a grade 0 from his or her drop zone and calls it to that rearguard. So you can choose an empty one, or most ideally you'll choose one that already has the rearguard so you can replace it. So yeah, gotta run 4 of her since she helps you set up for the grade 0s. Next I run 3 copies of Witch of Quest Sakurna. Basically helps you weaken your opponent's Vanguard to those really low numbers. Practically all the Witch effects require you to have a Witch as your Vanguard. So if your Vanguard's in Legion, and the number of grade 0s your opponent has is 2 or more, you may pay the cost, which is you sack one of your rearguard Witches, and choose one of your opponent's Vanguards, and that unit loses 5,000 until the end of turn for each of the grade 0s. Or I believe it should be minus 5,000 for each of your grade 0s. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure. I believe this is how it works, so yeah. Otherwise, it's not that great. Correct me. I haven't played Vanguard such a long time, so let me know if does it stack, because I'm pretty sure from what I remembered, it was for each of your opponent's grade zeros, they lose 5,000. So yeah, if that's not the case, please be sure to let me know in the comments down below, and don't kill me. Next, we run 3 perfect guards in the form of Dark Shield MacLear. Since Bushiroad made the whole rule of you have to stay to a specific clan unless you're doing like a Majesty Lord Blast or Foils or something, gotta have to use the Shao Paladin P guards, and it's either this or the Revenger version of it. So yeah, had these on hand luckily. Had only 3, so that's kind of another reason why I'm only running 1 of the Quintet wall for witches. But I feel like the Quintet can come in useful sometimes when you just don't want to give up your hand or anything. So yeah, so that runs out my grade 1s. Again, with the Witch of Quest Sakurna, please let me know in the comments down below. From what I remember, it should be for each grade 0, but I'm not sure. It might have been errata, I'm not sure. So yeah, please let me know if you can. Alright, so next we have 4 copies of Witch of Reality Femme. She's your Legion mate, as well as your 12k for the witches. So definitely useful. Next we run 4 copies of Inspection Witch Deirdre. She's your Legion mate for your main Vanguard in the deck. And she also has the same ability as Witch of Precious Stones Dana, so very essential in setting up. So gotta run 4 of her as well. Next, for what my personal choice is, I run 3 copies of the 10k base. Just because I can use her as a 10k, and she pairs up with the Sakurna, so you can get 16k column, or you can just have a 10k base Vanguard, so kind of makes it hard for your opponent to smack you. Next, for my own personal uses, I like to use 2 Skull Witch domains. Only have 1 triple rare, but yeah. So basically, you just counterblast 1, discard Shao Paladin when it's placed on rearguard, and if you do pay the cost, you can draw 2 cards. So again, it helps you filter out your cards in your hand and get more draw power from your deck. So yeah, very useful. So that rounds out my grade 2s, and on to the grade 3s. Yeah. So I run 1 Mesmerizing Witch Fiona. So basically, I only had 1 copy of her, so I could only run 1, but I felt like it worked pretty fine. She legions with Witch of Reality Femme, which I can pull out right here. Beautiful Legion. There we go. So her skill is Counterblast 2. If it's in Legion, choose 2 of your opponent's rearguard with a rearguard. Your opponent reveals the top 10 cards of their deck and calls grade 0s equal to the amount of rearguards chosen, and replaces those rearguards with the grade 0s basically. And her other skill is Act Vanguard. So choose a rearguard with the same card name as a unit on your Vanguard circle, so either her or mate if you're in Legion. If the number of grade 0 rearguards your opponent has is 2 or more, draw 2 cards. This ability cannot be used for the rest of that turn. So you can use her once, and basically just by retiring 1 rearguard you get to draw 2. So very awesome. Again, I only run 1 because I only have 1. I'm kind of content with her at 1 right now, but not sure how that'll work. And next, the MVP of the deck, we run 4 Cultist Witch Rias. So basically, for her Legion skill is, when she Legions, you can sack 1 of your rearguard with witches, and your opponent's Vanguard loses 5,000 for each of their grade 0s until the end of the turn. So basically, yeah, I know for sure this one stacks, so yeah. Let me know if the, Sakurna has basically the same thing, or if it's just minus 5,000, because that'll basically clear lots of things up for me now, since I haven't played this deck in a while. But yeah, her other skill is Counterblast 2. Choose 1 of your opponent's rearguards with a rearguard. Your opponent reveals the top 5 cards from his or her top deck, and chooses a grade 0 and replaces it, basically. So, a weaker version of the Fiona skill, but pretty useful, especially since her main skill that you want to use is the Legion skill, so yeah. So that's basically it for my Witch deck profile. Combos with the deck, basically, essentially you just want to use your rearguards, such as Dana and Deirdre, to go ahead and replace your opponent's grade or rearguards with grade 0s, ideally if they have any of their drop zone, and eventually they should have some, or you can pressure it out with Rias' skill. So basically you use her skill usually to Counterblast 2, replace 1 of your opponent's rearguards. So then after you set up the whole grade 0 thing, then you use her skill, then you can commence Legion, so you can activate her Legion skill, and by then you just sack any one of your witch rear guards. And for that turn, if you're able to, you definitely want to play as many Sakurnas, depending on the situation, of course, but Sakurna, you sack another witch, and your opponent's Vanguard loses power. So, yeah, makes it very deadly. I've once gotten my opponent to a very low number, negative 24k, I believe I got them down to, and just started swinging with like 6k rear guards, and just forced out 30k shield, which was beautiful. So, yeah. So, hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Let me know what you guys think. And, oh yeah, I forgot, since I am an idiot, where did I leave it? There were some other cards which you can attempt to use if you really wanted to. Since we are in a Legion for our, Stride format, basically, since Shadow Paladins at the time of this recording have no, Stride units available, you have to use the generic one. So you have like Harmonix Messiah and your 2 elementals, Atmos and Blizza. Ideally, you might want to consider using just the Messiah, since these 2 are going to compete with your Vanguards in the counterblast issues. So yeah, this deck is very counterblast reliant, so you might want to conserve that. But if you really wanted to, I recommend you just test out these ones for now. Definitely going to have to update the deck once the the new Legendary Trial deck for Shadow Pounds come out, because you get a new Perfect Guard. I might want to use that, I'm not sure yet, but it is a Witch Perfect Guard, which is pretty useful, and it's basically a kind of a clone of the main, so yeah. So, yeah, thanks for watching, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please be sure to leave a comment down below of what you guys think, and of course to let me know about Sakurna skills. So yeah, thanks for watching, and Asian Card out.